Hi, I'm Becky Davis with City TV, and welcome to Inside Santa Barbara, the city's only news magazine show. We bring you up to date on the city's most significant issues, projects, and events. Each year, the issue of homelessness impacts police services, jails, hospital services, and local businesses, in addition to the personal toll it takes on individuals that are homeless. Up next, find out about an innovative program that is attempting to get people's lives back on track. Homelessness, a problem that affects all aspects of society. In Santa Barbara, the issues surrounding homelessness ripple into our community's ability to provide not only basic services to those most in need, but also to the community at large.
There are people that are homeless or soon to be homeless are trapped in a reoccurring state of either mental illness and or drug dependency. And we get called when they're involved in some nuisance-related problem resulting in negative police contact. 10% of the people we deal with are 90% of the problem. They draw the biggest draw on our community. They take up ambulance services, they take up first responder services, they take up bed.
To address these problems, the police department establishes personal contact with the goal of breaking the cycle of citation, incarceration, and addiction.
In July of 2011, City Council decided to augment or enhance our efforts towards restorative policing, which is really trying to restore people a life of dignity, those who have found themselves living on the streets, many of whom are involved in the criminal justice system. And through our efforts to try to house them, they're constantly kind of being recycled through the system. So our restorative policing efforts are to try to help those people regain a life of dignity and get them off the streets in a sober living facility.
To enhance restorative policing efforts, community service liaisons were brought in to act as an extra set of eyes and ears on the street, identifying problem areas and hearing from people in the community that are most affected by this issue, and then relaying that information to police officers.
We felt that we brought in some civilian help, non-sworn people, non-cop people, to assist us with transporting, counseling, and all those other things that the officers get caught up in and then are off the field. We felt that this would allow us to stay in the field and still get the job done. And also, some of these folks, quite a few, they don't trust the cops sometimes, and they would rather speak to someone who is not in uniform, even though they're performing the exact same assignment or help for them. We're trying to build that relationship up, and a lot of them love the cops because we do help them, but some don't, and they would rather speak to a person who isn't a police officer, and we understand that, and we felt it was important to put folks out there that aren't cops, that are really seen by the client as this person is going to help me today.
Most of the items that end up at Gold Coast, 3, 2, 1.
I came down with a medical condition that caused me to have horrendous headaches, double vision, crossed eyes, and I was not able to work anymore. I was placed in the position of basically just getting by day to day because of this medical condition. In the meantime, I also became addicted to the pain medications I was given for the problem. And so I lost everything. I lost my home, I lost my family, my child.
None of these people really prefer to be living like that. There are just so many things that have gone wrong along the way, so many missteps, so many wrong turns, that it's difficult for them to unravel it.
Through Santa Barbara's restorative policing efforts has returned. To prevent these unnecessary trips from happening in the future, consider posting Collaborate to get individuals off the streets by providing transitional housing, creating stability, and directing people to services they need.
Restorative policing, what that does is it allows us to identify these folks as human beings and identify some of their needs. Many of our officers, almost all of them, have been trained in what we call crisis intervention training for the officers to identify early mental illness. Doesn't make them an expert, but it gives the patrol officers, especially those officers who are not assigned to full-time restorative policing, that when they're on a call for service, they can also see mental illness.
What's the holdup with that? Is it money?
Restorative court is another tool that allows officers to develop customized recovery plans based on the needs of each individual.
Typically what will happen is someone will be arrested for drunk and disorderly and will wake up in jail and decide that they're done with that and they want to change their life. And their attorney or Officer Hove will admit them into the restorative court, and then they are committed. They have to sign an agreement to stay with us. They have to sign an agreement that says they'll follow the case management plan, and the case management plan will be designed to deal with any substance abuse issues, mental health issues, and get them into stable housing.
The program has helped many individuals gain control of their life once again.
Were you part of restorative court?
Yeah.
And tell me about restorative court.
You got to show up whenever they give you on Wednesday at 11. You have to show up and see the judge, you know. And I had a public defender, you know, and I was doing it once a week, and then it was every other week, and then it was like once a month. So it paid off. I got through it all.
Do you think you're better with restorative court or worse with restorative court?
It was good.
It was a good thing?
Yeah.
And what's your...
I haven't got any tickets since I've been sober, so...
That's what it's all about. And before, you had a lot of police contact, right? Before?
Well, because I was homeless and living in the park.
In the park. So with restorative court and where you are now, is your quality of life is improved?
It has, yeah. I don't miss drinking one bit.
That's huge.
Yeah.
The nature of addiction is that when you have people that have been abusing substances for 30 years, they're probably not going to make it their first try. And all that we ask is that they keep working with us and that they keep trying. And we have a man in right now that's probably on his 4th try, but he still wants to do it and he is still willing to try, so we're willing to work with him.
Without encouragement, support, and a personal desire to change, people will almost always fall back into their old patterns.
If they fail to complete the program as it's described for them, we send them back to the Alpha Court. That means they had several months to do the right thing, and they choose at some point to go, you know what, this is not worth it to me. I'd rather just go back and do my terminal disposition, meaning I'll go spend 2 weeks in jail. I discourage them from doing that if we're in the process of working something that's helpful, because on the other side of those 2 weeks, they're going to come back out at the back door of jail at 2 o'clock in the morning and go back to the same lifestyle again.
Aware of the homeless issue in Santa Barbara, over 500 concerned citizens canvassed the streets and surveyed the homeless to get accurate data as to how many are on the streets and what challenges they are facing.
We treat them like people, getting to know them. It's not just an interview, it's a conversation. A lot of the people just really appreciated someone to talk to instead of being looked over or being passed. I hope we break down stereotypes. I hope we see them as humans and that we see their needs as they're able to be met.
Of the 754 homeless people who took the survey, 76% had been to jail, resulting in a cost of approximately $9.9 million. In addition to the large price tag for incarceration, booking the homeless in jail impacts the current overcrowding of our jail system.
We do have a lot of the same people coming in. Anecdotally, about 80% of the people that we book here have been booked here before, or we have some sort of prior relationship with them. We actually release them pretty quickly. All misdemeanors we release on a citation to appear, which is like a ticket to go to court. So we don't really have the room in our jail to house very short-term, low-level offenders. That's because we don't have the jail space.
Aggressive panhandling, public intoxication, and other nuisance-related crimes by homeless people have a significant impact on the economic health of our local businesses. In addition to prisons, businesses, and police services, emergency rooms and healthcare services are also heavily affected by this issue.
If an individual doesn't have the funding, then some of the channels or some of the pathways that would be followed on that is that we can look for or try to assist in getting funding for them through Medi-Cal applications or helping and assisting them with a Medi-Cal application or with other government or local type funding, such as the Medically Indigent Adult Funding, MIA, or if there's no linkage or connection to any of those, then we assist them with our own cottage charity application. so charity funds that would come through the foundation.
In the last year, Cottage Hospital had 220 emergency room visits and 290 hospitalizations of homeless individuals, costing approximately $2 million.
If you don't have a regular care provider and if you don't have regular resources to medications, then that'll cause a breakdown in preventive health and subsequently can cause disastrous situations which will lead to hospitalizations.
The more services that can be delivered to the homeless in an efficient and cost-effective manner, the more time is freed up for better customer service to the entire community.
Our ultimate goal is to reduce calls for service for our first responders, police, fire, paramedics. We want to reduce the amount of beds that are used at Cottage Hospital and out at County Jail. In doing so, there's a huge cost savings that the community will recognize. It's not an easy process, and it's not always timely. And simply because we're never in charge of when somebody makes the decision to change their lifestyle. But being omnipresent in the community, always being available when they are ready, is what's making our program really helpful.
I personally believe that everybody should have an opportunity to reach their full potential. Homeless people are marginalized. Even after they get housed, in many ways they're marginalized. And that's one new avenue of change I think that needs to be explored, is the opportunity for everybody to reach their full potential.
We'll be right back with more Inside Santa Barbara.
Minutes away. Hours of fun. Explore new worlds. Grab a bite. Have a blast. Catch the fun. Stearns Wharf. Playing near you.
Cut! Just ignore the letter. Keep the passion. Right now. Action! Just keep moving.
I never knew it could be like this.
Cut!
I can't work like this!
Don't let litter ruin your scene.
Earthquake!
Furniture straps, $4.
Get the flashlight!
Flashlight and batteries, $8.
Oh, check on the kids. I'll turn the news.
Hand crank radio, $22. Old pair of hard-soled shoes, $0. Being prepared when disaster strikes, priceless.
I just had my weekly lecture about spending too much money.
What do you have to say this time?
I couldn't understand most of it. All I could get was pesos don't grow on trees.
There they are, ready to go to dinner. Fred's buying.
I'll be right back. I'm going to get my other wallet. This one has my money in it.
Fred, I have a plan. Do you want to hear it?
Lucy, we're still recuperating from your last plan.
I want to start a recycling program for the apartment building.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Oh, Ricky! Fred will listen to you. Tell him I have a wonderful plan for the building that won't cost him a cent.
Let's see. My scatterbrain wife has another half-witted scheme. If you listen to it, you're out of your mind.
Boy, did that suffer in translation. Fred, it will help the environment and lower the apartment's trash bill, which means money in your pocket.
Lucy, this is one scheme that makes sense. Dollars and cents.
Welcome back. You may think a parking lot is an odd place to help improve creek and ocean water quality. But in our next story, you'll find that's exactly what's happening at a local park. Jeff Goodvin has the story.
Stormwater and urban runoff from paved surfaces like streets and parking lots are major sources of creek and ocean water pollution in our area.
Urban runoff, or what we call non-point source pollution, is the #1 source of water quality pollution in the United States, and Santa Barbara is no different.
The runoff from parking lots often contains pollutants that are toxic to aquatic life and potentially harmful to human health.
What we have is we have bacteria, we have oil and gas and other hydrocarbons, we have metals and sediment, and all of that is on the surface of impermeable areas like streets and parking lots. So when it rains, all those pollutants are washed off and washed straight into the creeks, into the ocean, and they don't receive any treatment. So those pollute the aquatic environment. They're harmful to water quality, but they're also harmful to people.
Permeable pavers were installed in the McKenzie parking lot in order to allow stormwater and urban runoff to infiltrate into the ground.
This is an LID project, a low impact development project. The guiding principle behind low impact development is to restore the natural hydrologic cycle of the site. And so instead of the rainwater running off directly to the storm drain, it's allowed to soak into the ground where all those pollutants can be treated by natural bacteria and things in the soils. And so then that groundwater is allowed to either soak into the groundwater table or slowly move to the creeks and be like clean spring water to the creeks.
Permeable interlocking concrete pavement is comprised of a layer of concrete pavers separated by spaces filled with small stones. Water enters between the pavers and seeps through a base layer of crushed stone. The void spaces among the crushed stones store water and allow it to infiltrate back into the soil below.
These are concrete bricks with spaces in between, so that when it rains, the water washes those pollutants off, and the water goes down into the ground where it can infiltrate into the soil, and the soil can treat, in effect, all of those pollutants.
Constructed in 2011, the McKenzie Park parking lot stormwater infiltration project was created to serve as a demonstration to the public to show how easy it is to prevent water pollution right at the source.
The Creeks Division worked with the Public Works Engineering Division, designed this parking lot at McKenzie, and then hired a local contractor to come in and build the project. We've now gone through one winter with the project in place, and it's been very effective at capturing and treating all of the stormwater pollution from this entire parking lot.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, and there we go.
The McKenzie Park Permeable Paving Project has won 2 awards.
Thank you.
One from the California Park and Recreation Society, and the other from the American Public Works Association.
Well, winning the awards is just an important recognition for the city in terms of what the city's doing to try to protect water quality in the city. It's also gotten the recognition from the Regional Water Quality Control Board, which is a entity that regulates the city and ensures that the city is doing everything it can to protect water quality.
These types of awards just make this type of project, the information more readily available to more people, and it spreads the idea. It's not. This is somewhat of a new concept. It's being implemented, and so the more this is done throughout the city, the better benefit to water quality.
By installing these LID projects throughout the city, the amount of pollutants flowing into our storm drains, creeks, estuaries, and ocean will be reduced.
We actually have several more of these projects moving forward. Because of the success of this project, we recently received a significant grant to move forward with several other projects. We have projects coming up this summer in Oak Park, in Stevens Park, and at the Westside Neighborhood Center. They're all permeable paver projects. They'll be a little bit different than the McKenzie Park in that the entire parking areas of those parks and of the Westside Neighborhood Center will be covered with the permeable concrete bricks.
The design demonstrates a retrofit that complies with the city's stormwater management program, SWMP requirement, to detain and treat the volume of water generated from a 1-inch 24-hour storm event.
in Oak Park, in Stevens Park, and at the West Side Neighborhood Center. The design is a little bit different in that they're not going to have any asphalt as part of the project. Therefore, we don't have to accommodate extra runoff from other areas, so we don't have to make the bedding layer as deep. So the entire areas of those lots will be pavers.
Another bonus of the permeable pavers is that they need less maintenance than a parking lot paved with asphalt.
These permeable pavers are designed to actually last a lot longer than asphalt. So these are going to be here for a lot longer time, so that decreases the amount of maintenance needed.
For more information about the McKenzie Park Permeable Paving Project, visit the city's website and look for the McKenzie LID project. Recently, Inside Santa Barbara began a new 6-part series that examines the city's waste stream. In part 2 of the series, City TV takes a ride with Marburg Industries to find out exactly what happens to items that have been put in the recycling. Have you ever wondered what happens to those items you use and then place in your recycle bin? Or what goes on behind the scenes at a recycling facility? Here in Santa Barbara, the process begins at the curb with Marburg Industries. In Santa Barbara, recyclables are co-mingled, which means you don't have to sort paper, glass, and metals into separate bins. Residential recycling carts and cans are picked up by Marburg and taken here to the county transfer station on Kai Real. The recyclables are transferred to larger trucks and then transported to a sorting facility in Ventura. To get a closer look at the sorting process, we hopped in the truck and headed to the recycling facility. At Gold Coast, a state-of-the-art sorting system uses screens and air technology to separate materials such as newsprint, mixed paper, plastic, metal, and glass.
We process Santa Barbara County's material on a daily basis, which is around 2,000 tons a month, 24 to 25,000 tons a year. It comes in here in the county trucks from the city of Santa Barbara, and it's processed down our sorting line into newspaper, HDPE, PET bottles, aluminum, and a lot of mixed rigid plastics and plastic bags we take, and cardboard.
After the recyclable items are sorted, they are baled and sold in a global marketplace to be made into new products.
It seems like China processes everything that comes to the U.S. anymore, or they make everything that we receive. So you can imagine all boxing, all containment. It seems to be they use all the fiber for that, containment.
While most of the items that end up at Gold Coast are recyclable, a small amount of non-recyclable material often makes the journey as well.
The most common non-recyclable thing would be food plates, forks, maybe styrofoam, and the most recyclable material is paper. I mean, everything paper, your cereal boxes, all paper, junk mail, new magazines. That's the most common recyclable material. We process roughly 97% of the material comes through here, and about 3% of it ends up being trash.
We're here at the Gold Coast Recycling Facility in Ventura, where all of the recyclable material gets sorted. Up here at the roll-off station, workers hand separate all of the non-recyclable material, where it's then placed on a truck and shipped back to our local Tahiguas landfill. For every 10 loads of recyclable material sent to Gold Coast, 1 load of non-recyclable material is returned. To prevent these unnecessary trips from happening in the future, consider posting a sign near your recycle bin that reminds you of items that are and are not recyclable.
I suggest anything when you're not sure, if there's food waste on it, put it in the trash, otherwise put it in the recycle barrel. To me, at my own home, it seems like everything's recyclable anymore. I use my compactor for recyclables, and I use what used to be a recycle for trash because there's such a small amount of trash. So, I share with my own kids and my wife to just put everything in the recycle barrel anymore unless there's food waste on it, because it seems recyclable. Everything's recyclable.
To find out exactly what items can and cannot be recycled, visit sbrecycles.org. And tune in next episode as we trace the journey of the yellow food scrap bin. We'll be right back with more Inside Santa Barbara.
Oh, periscope. Can't see anything. Sir, the crew is concerned about the amount of disposable bags we have on board. I will not hear of such things. Flood torpedo tubes. Flood torpedo tubes. Fire torpedo. Fire torpedo.
Sir, it's a misfire. Disposable bags are jamming the tube.
Captain, we've got to get rid of these bags and start using canvas reusables! Mister, I will not hear of this talk of treason. All ahead full, right full rudder. All ahead full, right full rudder! Engineering, what's going on down there?
Sir, we've been sabotaged by disposable bags!
Okay.
Minutes away. Hours of fun. Enjoy a taste of Santa Barbara. Experience the romance. Stearns Wharf. Playing near you.
After a disaster, it may take hours or days for emergency personnel to respond. That means your best chance for help might come from right next door. Don't be anonymous. Get to know your neighbors. Take an emergency preparedness class together. Find out about CERT at awareandprepare.org.
Cut! Just ignore the trash. Keep rolling. Right away. Action!
Have you come to finish me off?
No, we're on the same team now.
Don't let litter ruin your scene.
Welcome back. You've probably noticed a lot more of these ramps around town, but you may not know how they got there. In our next story, Chris Bell reveals the special committee that helps guide the city on projects like these to help people of all abilities.
Caraway, come here.
Every Wednesday, Adelaide Ortega, with the aid of her trusty guide dog Caraway, embarks on a journey across town to teach a ceramics class at the Braille Institute.
Ready? Okay, Caraway. Good girl. See how steep that is?
Being blind means there is no shortage of challenges and obstacles along the way.
Oh, good girl. Good girl. Come on.
On the other side of town, Karen Johnson is starting her trip to a doctor's appointment. Using a wheelchair means she has to deal with her own set of challenges to get from point A to point B, one of the biggest of which is curbs.
If we don't have a curb cut, we, like I said, have to find a driveway, go into the gutter, and then wait for the signal to change or for the cars to stop if it's a sign. Sometimes there's quite a distance before a driveway to travel to get where we want to end up. So during that time, it's in the gutter. That's where we have to go. We have to travel.
But over the last few years, Ortega and Johnson's trips have gotten a lot smoother thanks to something many of us may take for granted: curb ramps. The city has installed the new ramps throughout town with the guidance of the Access Advisory Committee,
which is a committee that monitors ease of access for people of all types to get in and out of both public buildings as well as private buildings and pathways and sidewalks and everything.
Okay, I will call the meeting to order.
The city established the Access Advisory Committee to advise staff on providing access for the disabled and maintaining compliance with state building code and the Americans with Disabilities Act.
We look at plans. Sometimes we go to the sites to see what the plans are going to be and how they impact wheelchairs, canes, things like that.
They come and they ask us our opinion and we give it to them. And, you know, we just tell them what we think is the best way to go with it.
In the case of the ramps, the Access Advisory Committee not only assisted with the design, it also helped create a system that gave city staff direction as to where new ramps should be installed in the future.
It's been difficult to come up with a system to figure out if we were to obtain money, which ones would we do? And so we came up with a system using GIS and some criteria in the pedestrian master plan and the ADA transition plan. We worked with the advisory committee on that prioritization to come up with a way to rank locations of missing ramps where we would want to have those installed.
Currently, right now, what we're working on is the long-range path planning. Path meaning from areas of concentration, Cottage Hospital, to other areas of concentration, bus stops, or schools to bus stops, so that these types of pathways connected with one another. You wouldn't want wheelchair ramps at this intersection on Castillo and then none at that intersection on Castillo, and you'd have to go over 2 blocks on De La Vina to get the ramps.
The new ramps are different from the old ramps in a number of subtle but significant ways.
Over on the far side is an old-style curb cut. You see how it's just one cut, and it's kind of in the middle of the radius of the turn. The problem with those kind is that if you're in a wheelchair, you actually have to get out into the street itself and then turn up into that. So we've changed to this design right down here in front of you where you can just go straight across. And so if you're pushing a stroller with children and one of them is walking, you don't have to go out into the field of travel and worry about kids getting in the way of cars.
These dots are for people who use canes to feel where they're at, but also it helps me to identify where I'm at. Like when I get to here with my foot, I can feel the dots and I know that I'm going to turn over here to go to catch the bus.
And while over 1,000 curbs in the city have been identified as needing ramps, the funds available to install them is limited.
Each year we will do a minimum of 2 projects, one funded through city funds and another that we've been able to get community development block grant funding for.
In 2009, the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, or stimulus, offered the opportunity to install a lot more ramps, but they had to be shovel-ready. Thanks to the cooperative efforts between the city and the Access Advisory Committee prior to that, the city obtained funds to build 71 more ramps.
We knew what the need was, we knew there was support from the community, and it was a really straightforward process to tell Caltrans and FHWA that, hey, this is what we want to do with a big chunk of that money.
But while Adelaide and Karen are grateful for the ramps, they are quick to point out that they aren't just for the disabled.
They're for anybody. For a woman with a baby in a stroller finds they're much easier for her. Somebody with a cane finds it's much easier.
The ramps are really important because, you know, they do help a lot of people. And you know what, we're baby boomers now, you know, we're slowing down quite a bit too, so the ramps are very helpful.
And for those that say the ramps aren't a worthy use of tax dollars, Johnson has a suggestion.
Spend a part of a day in a wheelchair and you'll find out real fast how convenient and inconvenient things are. As far as reaching things, as far as getting to curb cuts, the whole 9 yards.
The truth is, every single one of us, at some point or another in our life, is going to appreciate that. So it's a good thing.
To learn more about the Access Advisory Committee, visit the city's website and click on Boards and Commissions. Every year, the city's water conservation program gives out its Water Hero Award. The award recognizes people or organizations who are water wise. Up next, City TV reveals this year's winner and how they earned the award.
A hero can be many things. We're all familiar with the archetypal hero, courageous, strong, honorable, larger than life. But there are other unsung heroes that quietly do the things we all think are virtuous. For its 2012 Water Hero Award, the city's water conservation program selected just such a hero, the Tobes Group. Over the past few years, the Tobes Group has turned its corporate offices into a model of resource efficiency.
We improved our waste diversion by 38% here at the corporate office. Our water use was another area where we had a significant improvement. That was a 41% reduction in water use, which is about 8,500 gallons per month here at the corporate office. Energy use, we were also able to reduce that by 25%, and that equates to about, I think it's about 4,800 kilowatt hours per month.
Really what prompted the Tobes Group was a group of people that saw this as a real opportunity, and they saw that it was consistent with our company culture. I think conservation and improving where we live, where we do business is consistent with everything that the Tobes Group is trying to do in this community. So I think our water conservation efforts are just part of that corporate culture, if you will.
But the type of reductions the Tobes Group experienced don't come by accident. To help get them on that road to change, the Tobes Group signed up for the county's Green Business Program.
We're somewhat of knowledgeable about sustainable practices. So the first step was to get educated about it, to find out where the areas of improvement would be, and then how to implement that. And that's where the Green Business Program was really helpful in providing tools and the resources in their partnership with the City of Santa Barbara.
One of those resources included a free water evaluation from the city. During the evaluation, city staff goes over the subject's current water usage, pinpoints areas for improvement, and provides the information needed to achieve those improvements. Using the suggestions from the water evaluation, the Tobes Group accomplished significant water use reductions with an array of upgrades like high-efficiency fixtures and seasonal irrigation. But the Tobes Group wasn't selected as Water Hero just for what they've accomplished at their headquarters. They were chosen because they've also begun to extend their sustainable practices to the many properties they manage.
The Tobes Group manages 26 commercial properties, which is about 1.6 million square feet of commercial space. We manage 13 residential communities, over 2,000 units. So the concept, the big picture is, we want to continually explore how to roll this through our portfolio. There's obviously a lot of advantages to doing that from a property perspective, and we're trying to make a difference where we can.
The Tobes Group has definitely been able to make a difference at the Rancho Franciscan Senior Apartments.
And they've been encouraging all of the residential sites to be green wherever they can. Scan when you can, and use better paper products that are more biodegradable. In 2008, we retrofitted all of our, not only the common area, but the apartment light fixtures to T8 bulbs. Also the same year, we replaced all of our exit signs with LED lights, which are energy savings. And in our newsletter, we've been putting little recycle reminders, and we're going to start putting water saving tips, just some tips of the month, just to keep that in everyone's mind.
Over the years, Rancho Franciscan has saved water from such improvements as weather-based sprinkler controllers, low-flow toilets, and mulch. In 2011, they also changed their planters from sprinkler water to drip, a switch that has had some significant side benefits.
We're a senior community, so we're always conscious of safety issues, so having puddles is not a good thing. Anything that's trippable or slippable, we really try to avoid, so not having as much overspray on the sidewalks is very good.
You're not getting spray that's going onto the buildings and deteriorating the stucco or causing some maintenance issues, so that's a long-term benefit.
Besides saving money on its monthly water bills, Rancho Franciscan also saved money on the upfront costs thanks to the city's Smart Landscape Rebate Program. The program offers potentially thousands of dollars of rebates on approved irrigation equipment and landscape materials.
What was interesting is that we had changed landscapers in, I think, 2000, 2011, early 2011, and they were the first ones to suggest that we could make that conversion. And the rebate was just a surprise bonus.
But what makes the Tobes Group a great water hero is that they exemplify how conservation isn't just good for the environment or the city's water supply. It's just plain good business.
You know, if you can identify a return on investment for a capital improvement, then, you know, it might make sense. And, you know, over a number of years, you'll be saving those dollars in water usage, for instance. Then that improvement might make sense, and you can budget for that.
We think our residents really appreciate our efforts, and we think that the payoff will be in more than just dollars and cents. We think that it will build brand loyalty to the Tobes Group. It will build loyalty to the communities where these people live. So we see it as, you know, not only an investment in conservation, but we really see it as an investment in our brand, in our communities, and something that will not only build sustainability from the natural resources, but it will also build sustainability for our business model and our business practices.
To find out more about saving water at your home or business, visit savewatersb.org. That does it for this episode of Inside Santa Barbara. If you have any questions or comments about the show, give us a call at 564-5311. You can also watch the show online at citytv18.com. I'm your host, Becky Davis, and remember to get involved inside Santa Barbara.
Just ignore the trash. Keep rolling. Right away. Action.
Have you come to finish me off?
No, we're on the same team now.
Don't let litter ruin your scene. In a disaster, it's not just your needs you have to consider. All members of your family have to be ready. Don't forget the pets.
Minutes away. Hours of fun. Enjoy a taste of Santa Barbara. Experience the romance. Stearns Wharf. Playing near you.
Oh, Periscope. Can't see anything. Sir, the crew is concerned about the amount of disposable bags we have on board. I will not hear of such things. Flood torpedo tubes. Flood torpedo tubes. Fire torpedo. Fire torpedo!
Sir, it's a misfire. Disposable bags are jamming the tube.
Captain, we've got to get rid of these bags and start using canvas reusables! Mister, I will not hear of this talk of treason. All ahead full, right full rudder. All ahead full, right full rudder! Engineering, what's going on down there?
Sir, we've been sabotaged by disposable bags!
Okay.